Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole Lore and Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. So, we are fast approaching the release of Tears of the Kingdom. Today is March 27, 2023. So, it's coming out in a little over a month. I think like a month and a couple of weeks. So I guess a month and a half or something like that. Like I don't know I don't have the exact date memorized, but it is coming. It is on the way. And it's kind of interesting seeing like the discussion online regarding this game. This is, of course, the direct sequel to one of the best Zelda games ever, like Breath of the Wild, that over 30 million units sold. I think it's like 32 million if you like calculate in the Wii U versions. But it's 30 million units sold. One of the best selling games on the Switch. It's not the best selling, but it's up there, right? This is a hugely popular, influential game, and Tears of the Kingdom is very, very similar in size and scope. It seems like it's going to be bigger with more features, more areas to explore, more things to do, new quests to undergo. Like Tears of the Kingdom is going to be great, even though we don't really know anything about it yet. The game is going to be fantastic, and one of the things that it remind like it feels like right now people are in this phase where they're really trying to like downplay this game, doing anything they possibly can, like complaining about the map design, complaining about like the lack of new information, complaining about like what little story elements we have. Like people are like going to insane lengths to try and downplay this game before release, and I really have to say, at this stage, this really reminds me of what happened with Animal Crossing New Horizons. A lot of people don't talk about this. It's been memory hold, but when Animal Crossing New Horizons first came out, and it was revealed to be launching the same day as Doom Eternal, there was a very real like narrative in the community on NeoGAF on YouTube that Animal Crossing would not be able to compete with Doom. Doom was, of course, like a hardcore gaming franchise. It had a much longer legacy. It was beloved by fans. Like, it was a follow up to Doom 2016, which was also super popular. Like, people thought Animal Crossing would be stopped. Instead, like Isabel took Doom Guy out in the back and shot him in the head. Like, is Animal Crossing New Horizons is the second best selling game on Switch with like over 40 million units sold. And meanwhile, like Doom Eternal hasn't even scratched that. Like it has like what, like 3 million, and it's like regularly on sale for like $5. It's on Game Pass. Like it's on Game Pass and it still couldn't it still couldn't come to close to Animal Crossing. Like people vastly underestimated the popularity of Animal Crossing, right? People don't understand how big Animal Crossing was. Now, I'm not saying Zelda is as big as Animal Crossing. It's like observably not. Breath of the Wild has sold like 10 million units less than Animal Crossing, but like the only reason I'm not saying that like Tears of the Kingdom is going to outsell like Elden Ring right now is because I'm not sure how like logistically likely that is. Because of course I don't see Tears of the Kingdom outselling Breath of the Wild, at least like not right away. Like I'm expecting like 15 to 20 million units sold like that first year. It's gonna be like around the ballpark as like a Pokemon game, right? Like eventually, like I think it is going to catch up to Breath of the Wild. It's gonna like sell a reasonably about the same amount, but like I'm not sure like how well it's going to sell. However, there is no denying it is going to do extraordinarily well, right? Like anything like over people forget this. Like anything over 5 million units sold is technically like extraordinarily popular, right? Like this is an industry where like most games don't sell like more than a million. So more than 2 or 3 million, right? So like a game that sells that much is like hugely successful and hugely popular, right? Regardless of whether or not like other games sell more or less than it, right? So Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is going to sell like 10 to 15 million units like that first year, right? And of course it's going to be like very popular, very successful, and it's going to like start keep selling past that point, and it's going to like keep building the Zelda brand, right? Right now I'm seeing a lot of people saying this game is going to bomb. I'm seeing people like trying to say this game is going to be like a disaster, a disappointment, a flop. That simply is not going to happen. Okay, I don't see anyone really really being able to like damage control like the success and popularity of Tears of the Kingdom. They're going to try like they tried with Breath of the Wild, like saying Horizon Zero Dawn and Redemption 2 were better, right? They're going to do that again, this time with Elden Ring, but I don't think it's gonna stick, honestly. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I think it's gonna be. It might be another Majora's Mask situation in which even if the game is successfully downplayed, like 5 to 6 years later, we're gonna see like a resurgence of fans who grew up playing it and like really really loved it for what it is, right? Like you can't downplay a Nintendo game that sells that many units, right? It just isn't going to work. And again, Majora's Mask is now considered a cult classic for that reason, right? That's a game that really should have been more beloved than it was. Being the follow up of Ocarina, one of the best games of all time, while like taking things in a unique, strange, dark direction, right? Majora's Mask was a fantastic follow up that didn't adhere itself to like the limitations that Ocarina set for itself. Like Majora's Mask was one of the best sequels ever made, and at the time, it was considered a disappointment, right? Like it was considered underwhelming, and it's weird looking back on it now. And now it feels like games like Banjo Tooie and DK64 have kind of replaced it in that kind of uh, disappointing N64 games like release that narrative, right? But like Majora's Mask went on to like have a really successful 3DS release. It's done fairly well on like on the Wii Virtual Console. It did well like on NSO, right? Like people love and play this game like to this day, right? And Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is going to like be more of the same. Like regardless of how well it does at launch, regardless of how well it does that first year, regardless of like whether there's like games that sell more than it, like it's competing against like Hogwarts Legacy. I'm very curious to see like how this pans out. Uh, there is some stiff competition this year. There is. I'm curious to see just what the how successful like Switch's biggest game this year is going to be. I really wonder how what things are going to look like when the game actually sees launch. But I don't think there is denying that at the very least the game will do very well for itself. That is what I want to focus on right now. That is what I want to talk about. That is what I want to be known is that like my belief is that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will be a successful, entertaining video game.